It's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me for another Simple Stamping Saturday. Sorry, I got my tongue all around that just now. I'm carrying on with my sale-a-bration simple stamping, and this time I'm using the Gangs Meer, and I'm inspired by Jackie Aitken in Western Australia. She has this project on Pinterest, and so this is the one that I am going to be using as my inspiration. I think it's incredibly clever what she's done. So yeah, let me just get rid of that. She was one of the artisan designers last year, I think. So yeah, so this is my simple version, and I know there's going to be one or two people that might be panicking that this is simple, but it actually is. And what's even better is, not only is it simple, if you're not very good at stamping, that's fine. Anyway, so this is the project. I've got a little meerkat on the inside and also on the envelope, just to tie that together. So this is the full stamp set. So as well as the stamps that I'm using, which are these ones, we've got a single meerkat here, happy birthday to a stand-up friend, the cactus, the gecko, a hat, and from all of us. I have used, I think, every stamp now. Maybe not happy birthday to a stand-up friend. I don't think I've used the hat, but I think I've used everything else in videos. So, Whisper White card, note card. Some of the really important items that every craft room should have, which are post-it notes, because I'm not one for doing what's the word I'm looking for? Background inking. I'm not the one for doing that on a piece of folded card, because I think that's just making your life more difficult than it needs to be. So obviously if you've got one long post-it note, that's even easier. A piece of scrap paper is a really clever idea. And then for the... oh, I've put it somewhere else. Getting myself ready to do my photos and video and blog post, and I put this over with the items I need for that. So all I'm going to do is just punch out a 2-inch circle with the circle punch, and I've just used a post-it note, making sure that the sticky bit is exposed, as it were. Didn't do a great job. Whoops! Didn't do a great job of punching that. It's actually easier to punch if you've got a slightly thicker. In fact, that's going to annoy the bejeebers out of me. So let me grab another scrap of paper and another post-it note. It just makes it a lot easier. Let me get a proper scrap. It makes it a lot easier to punch if you've got a thicker thing to punch through. A single sheet of post-it note or a single sheet of paper is not, it's not strong enough, but certainly a single sheet of post-it note isn't, as we've just discovered. But there we are. Now we've got a nice circle, and I'm going to pop that about 3/4 of an inch, couple of centimetres down from the top and in from the sides. And that's going to mask off where the moon is. I'm using 2 inks. I'm using Mango Melody and Real Red. You could use a stamping sponge to do this, but I am rather a convert to these makeup brushes, so I'm going to use those. And all I'm going to do is pick up some Mango Melody first, and then from the post-it note come out, and I want a reasonable covering. So, and you can control the colour quite well with these because they've got a very bendy neck. So if you want more, you just hold it nearer the neck, or nearer the head, I should say, and you can get more ink onto your card. Whoops, try not to do that, otherwise you can end up with ink going up underneath, which is not what you want to do. And then just so that I've got a bit more of a kind of background colour, I'm going to, which I will come off there, I'm going to add Mango Melody all over the base card. I found it gave me a nicer finish when I put the real red on top. So just make sure you come out to all those slightly bare spots. So again, out. And that is my Mango Melody. Now, one of the things that's really quite surprising with these brushes is if I move this and just, there's almost no ink left. There is a little bit, but not very much. So long as you keep your brushes so that you have all of the yellow, reds and oranges in for one and the blues for another, it's really clever stuff. I'm just hoping that one day we'll get them as a Stampin' Up! Product. So again, here I'm just adding real red. Now, I got my brushes from Amazon. They're not expensive if you go for makeup brushes rather than craft brushes. The craft equivalent is a lot more expensive. So if you want to just give these a try, then I would go for makeup brushes, and if you like it, then you could invest in getting some real ones. I think they're more easily attainable, the craft ones, if you're in the US or North America. You can get them in the UK, but they're not that easy to get hold of. So I'm coming in from the outside, because I want the halo to stay around the circle. So although I'm going over that, I'm not starting on it. So you get more ink in the area that you start than in the area that you finish, if you see what I mean. Because obviously you've got more ink on your brush at that point. So I've just got a slightly bald patch over there, which will cover up nicely, and that I think will do. So close that up, remove that. I will just, a bit like my blender brush, I try and get as much of the excess off as I can before I put it away, but as you can see there really isn't much colour coming off there now, so that's all good. Now this will be a little wet for a while, but when I say wet, I mean kind of damp. But there you are, you see. One nice moon. Not difficult. So, yeah, just give it a go. And as I say, a stamping sponge. Sponge dauber, yes. But I would, if you're using a sponge dauber, I'd be tempted to use a little bit of glycerin, just so you get a better finish. So, I've got my big gang and Memento ink. And I'm just going to pop that down so that they are all there. And while that's drying, I'm going to add my other two stamps. So we've got We're Here For You. So that's going down in the bottom right hand corner. And then on the inside, and again, bottom corner, I've just got my single meerkat. And then for the envelope, again, bottom right corner, my single popping his head out. Then get rid of the memento. And then the only other thing we need is a black Stampin' Right marker. These are sold singly, so it's a really affordable thing to get. Now, this is going to be a little damp, as I say, for a while. So I think what I will do is grab my... might grab the other side of that, only because if one thing's inky, the other thing's going to be inky too. And then all I'm going to do, and this is why I say if you don't do a great job of stamping, it doesn't actually matter, is fill in so we end up with a silhouette. Now I found that it was easiest if I kind of did the outside first and then just filled in what was left. And obviously if you want to use the writing end for the finer bits, that's good too. I did just touch up the ears because this is slightly blacker than the Memento ink. So if there were particularly white bits, I just went over those a little bit. But as you can see, it's not difficult. It's just a question of filling in. No shading, you know, no concern about that. All you need to do is colour inside the lines. So really straightforward. And I'll just do the outline, and then what I might do is, rather than have you watch me fill this in, because we have after all got a finished example, is show you what I've done to step it up. So when we get to the ground, all I've done is their feet, because the ground is kind of there. But yeah, so you get the idea, and if I bring in my original, there we are, that's what you'll end up with when you finish. So that's those. I'll leave the completed one out. And then my two stepped up versions, and I'm not sure that my casual is totally casual because it uses heat embossing and an embossing folder. But anyway, this is my casual version. So I've moved the We're Here For You up to here. I've added some of the braided burlap ribbon that is in, or trim, that is in the mini catalogue, and just frayed the ends, stuck it down with some tear and tape, and then I fussy cut these, and then just coloured over. It's actually much easier colouring than this because you just colour over. 2 layers of vellum because one didn't seem quite enough. So I've done 2 vellum circles, and then some of the epoxy dots that are in the annual catalogue. They're the clear and frosted epoxy dots, and obviously I've picked out the frosted ones there. And then for my Avid Crafter, and I think this definitely is an Avid Crafter version, it may look very similar to this one, apart from I've put an extra layer underneath the sentiment. Both have got the little meerkat in the bottom right hand corner, but this one has also got the meerkats inside. Now this isn't terribly pretty, but I don't think people will be really looking at the at that bit. What they'll be looking at is the fact that they are beautifully, if I say so who shouldn't, lined up. So We're Here For You, open it up, and there we are. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. I really would give ink blending a go. It is an easy technique to have as a starting technique. It's actually easier still if you use the ordinary Whisper White cardstock rather than the thick, but obviously this is a note card, so this is the thick Whisper White, but it really isn't difficult. So yeah, give it a go. These, I did the same thing. I did the blending, and then I ran it through the embossing folder. It's the Subtles embossing folder, just to give a bit more of a texture in the background, and it's the same on both. And then, as I say, vellum. This one, the vellum is trapped between the coloured layer and the Mango Melody layer, so I just cut a piece and glued it in, so it is trapped in there. And then here, the circle here on the Whisper White is die cut with the layering circles, just because the punch wasn't going to go in far enough. So yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, if you don't have a punch, while I think about it, if you don't have a punch, you can find a pot and draw around it on a Post-it note and then just manually cut it. So don't think that you have to have a punch. I have a punch, so I used it, but you don't have to. Just be, you know, quite gentle as you cut round so you don't get too many ins and outs, because they will transfer onto your blending. But yeah, thank you very much indeed for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more projects from me, then do remember to hit the subscribe button. I'm getting quite close to 8,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. I am bowled over. So with a little more of a sort of focus on people subscribing, I've got less than 250 subscribers to go. So it would be amazing if I was able to hit 8,000 subscribers reasonably soon. So if you can help me with that, that would be great. If you would like to order any of the products that I've used, or indeed any other Stampin' Up products, I would be absolutely thrilled. It is kind of a way of you giving back for free tutorials. But if you're in the UK, that would be fantastic. I'm listing everything that I've used both below and over on my website, and there's a link to my website below, and it'll take you to this post, so you can have a look at a few more photos of how I put these together. Thank you very much indeed, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!